Hello, Billy once again. In today's video, you're going to get a deep understanding of website hosting. If you clicked on this video, you're probably thinking about setting up a website for your business, or you already have one that's outdated and it's probably costing you money, it's slow, and just deserves an overhaul. Well, here's my promise to you. By the end of this video, you get a deep understanding of website hosting and you know exactly how to avoid getting scammed, overcharged. You'll be so familiar with website hosting that nobody will ever lie to you in this space. So let's cut to the chase. Your business is invisible without a website. Imagine this, thousands of customers are searching online right at this moment for exactly what you sell. But if your website doesn't exist or loads slowly or crashes constantly, those customers are clicking straight to your competitors. And you've probably been in a situation where you see a shop, maybe you see an ad on Facebook and you want to research more about the same company. Then in your research, as you are Googling this particular company, you find that they have no website. And unfortunately, Google always serves you something that is related to that company. It will save you their competitors. And in you digging deeper into that research, you find that their competitor probably offers even better pricing. And there you go. That company, without them having an online presence, has lost you as a sale. And that's how having no website is costing you money. And probably how your ads are benefiting your competitors. The brutal truth is this: ignorance is expensive, and without you understanding what website hosting is, you're probably at the mercy of developers who probably charge you triple what website hosting is supposed to cost. Or worse, you could end up with a wasting provider who hold your data hosted, sadly doubling your prices, or letting hackers breach your sites. Some of these web hosts are so crafty such that they will leak your information to hackers and hackers will hack you, and at the end of the day, they will charge you to fix the website and get rid of those hackers, when it's really them in the first place who actually even call those hackers to your website. It's a dark world out there. Any elite business owner knows that data is king. But imagine years of customer data lost in a second. Imagine your business going dark at the busiest hour, losing you thousands in sales. This isn't fear mongering. Businesses are going through this right now as we speak. But here's the good news. You don't have to be a victim. By the end of this video, you know how to avoid shady hosting traps. You know how to secure your online assets and choose a hosting provider that fuels your growth, not sabotages it. So what even is website hosting? Before we talk about that, I wanted to share just a few concepts, a few basic economics principles that probably you know, but I just like to iterate. The basic concept that I wanted to share is the 4 factors of production. And for those of you that may not know, those are capital, entrepreneur, labor, and land. Now, the purpose of the factors of production is that these are supposed to give you a competitive advantage in the market. Having capital can allow you to overlap most of your competitors. If you are overcapitalized and they are undercapitalized, you can easily be able to take over markets by easily advertising, getting your name out there, ordering better quality, offering better service, hiring better employees. Having capital is indeed a big competitive advantage. Labor, we all know that labor saves you time as an entrepreneur. If you're a one-man army, a project that can take you probably a year can be done in 3 months by a team of people, a team of good people for that matter. So labor boosts productivity and helps the company to move faster. And that's a competitive advantage. The entrepreneur is the one that takes risks, provides the capital and so on, and he can also be the competitive advantage by being properly well developed, emotionally intelligent, being able to forge partnerships and so on. The entrepreneur can also be a competitive advantage. Now land can also be one of those competitive advantages. You've heard of the saying location, but not only that, if you own land as an entrepreneur, that can save you a lot in costs. Land is where most of the productivity happens, and if that land is in prime area, you can even share some of the spaces and it can earn you money, but land is indeed a competitive advantage. Now, why is this our particular interest in this topic that we're discussing today? It's because today's land, today's prime real estate is the internet, and as an elite business owner, you can't afford to miss out on this prime real estate. But to get a piece of that land, that's where website hosting comes in. Website hosting allows you to grab a piece of land over this vast prime real estate called the internet and own it for yourself. Your business definitely needs land to exist, and that land is the website hosting that we're talking about today. So I'm sure you understand the importance of you grabbing some real estate called website hosting over this internet so that your business can be able to exist online. So now let's get a little technical. Let's understand website hosting technically. I'm going to try to simplify it to an example that you can easily understand so that we're all on the same page. I'm not going to be using all this jargon and everything like that people can't understand. I'm going to try to simplify it to the simplest idea that everyone of us can understand. First off, let's just understand the internet itself. Now, I want you to picture the internet as a huge library. And this library contains a lot of books. And those books are bookshelves, right? Those bookshelves are what are called websites. So if you type in a name, let's just say our business name here, www.rubyconventions.com, you are basically requesting that bookshelf. On rubyconventions.com, there are all sorts of things that are there, resources that you can read, there's ways to contact us, there's information of how you can know about us and all that. If you go on the About Us page, it means that you're requesting one of those books in that bookshelf to be able to read. So basically, the internet stores all this information about all these businesses in a sort of a server space, and that server space is what I want you to picture as a library. It organizes all that information 24/7 for anybody to access. Now, decades ago, businesses had to build their own servers. Now, imagine how risky that was and how inconsistent it was. It was highly expensive and required a lot of maintenance. But in today's world, website hosting companies range to a space on their state-of-the-art facilities. They've got these servers planted in different countries, and the information is stored on many of those servers, right? They are stored on many servers so that if one server goes down, your information can also be accessed at another server in another country and things like that, right? So in short, website hosting means renting server space to store the files on your site and to keep them accessible to your customers. It's really not that complex. So why do you even need this type of thing? Why do you need website hosting? Well, your website is your 24/7 salesperson. Unlike your employees who can be sick, knock off at 8 p.m. and all that, your website continues to promote you 24/7. Anybody can have access to your information at any time. It will showcase your brand, it will showcase your products, and sometimes even close deals while useful. But without proper hosting, this is a broken employee. Having a website alone is not just enough. You need proper website hosting, quality website hosting. So let's break down some of the things you don't want to happen. First, you don't want a slow website. A slow website is literally a death sentence. 40% of customers abandon websites that take longer than 3 seconds to load. Let's take for instance, if you make $10,000 a month, that's 40,000 lost simply from a slow loading website. You don't want that. If your website crashes during a sale, you automatically lost that sale. So make sure that you have a host whose downtime is at least 99.9%. One other thing is the loss of your credibility. You see, a website boosts your credibility. 75% of users judge a business's legitimacy by the presence of this website. No hosting, no trust. But here's the thing, even your ads depend on hosting. To have a more effective advert from whichever social media that you're getting your traffic from, you need to have a landing page. That page will probably extrapolate more about what you're offering. You need a landing page for different purposes in the customer journey. For awareness, consideration, closing the deal and all that, you need a landing page. But unfortunately, if you have no website hosting, your ads will be very ineffective. So that's one thing for you to learn, how to design landing pages and how to convert your customers from whichever traffic source to your website so that you can be able to track them and capture all that information and store it for your business. So you see, investing in a good host is not an expense, it's a profit multiplier. If you just shave up 1 second of loading time, make your website just faster by 1%, that's about 7% jump in conversion. Again, if you make 10,000, that's an extra 700 on top. If the uptime is on point, 99.99% uptime, that means no lost sales. If you've invested in proper website security, also hackers will stay away from that. Hackers mainly target weak website hosts. A breach could bankrupt your reputation overnight. So now that we've understood what website hosting is, how technically it exists and how it came about and how things used to be back in the day, let's now get to understand how exactly you can set up your website hosting. The first thing you need before you even think about any website hosting is your domain name. And what a domain name is simply your business name.com. So for us, that's rubyconventures.com or rubyconhosting.com. That's a domain name. First, you need to secure that. Now, it's just like any other registration database. You need to make sure that your name is free first. That's when you can secure it, buy it at a price. Most website hosts are able to sell the domain name as well as the hosting. But I want you to get an understanding that before you even think about website hosting, you need to secure your domain name first. So this would typically cost you $10 to $20 depending on the host. host. But sometimes some names can even cost up to $1 million. We've seen cases where businesses have spent more than $1 million on a domain name because they know they'll be able to make more and they'll be able to be discovered easier when they get a certain name. But typically for a small business like you don't have to worry about all those millions of dollars. You just need to get the same one for $10 to $20 depending on the name and depending on the suffix, right? So a pro tip here is to avoid cheap domain names or cheap extensions like .xyz, .tp, .ca, those things. You need to avoid those things. Stick to .com, .org, .co, .io, high quality extensions. Now some of these also differ in price, right? .com is usually very reasonable, $10 to $20. .io is very expensive, it's like $30 to $50. .org is also a bit different. .net, .net is also okay, but I would also urge you to avoid it. Stick to .com, .org, .co, .io. These particular extensions are what you need for your business name. The second thing is for you to choose the hosting. Now, the most common hosting for small businesses is shared hosting. Now, shared hosting is very, very reasonable because you're sharing a space with many different types of businesses. Of course, it's demarcated, right? But you're sharing the same space with different types of businesses. So this, depending on the type of functionality that you have, it can cost anywhere between $5 to even about $15 per month, even up to $20 to $30 per month, depending on the resources and the functionality that the host will be able to give you, right? There is also something called VPS hosting. Now, the best example I can give here is like renting an apartment. VPS hosting gives you more power and more space. For e-com websites and all websites that are dealing in transactions, storing customer data, especially payment data, I would advise that you take VPS hosting. This is what you need. Now, this will cost anywhere between $20 to about $60 depending on the host and depending on the functionality that you can be given and the amount of space and all that. Let's just say the amount of resources that you shall be given. This will depend on the pricing, right? But it's anywhere between $20 to about $60 per month. Now, dedicated hosting is like owning the whole house. Actually, dedicated hosting can even allow you to host other multiple businesses on the same resource. Now, for small to medium-sized businesses, this is overkill. You probably don't even need this. This is for businesses that have heavy traffic. The more traffic you have, the more resources are used on your website. So the more traffic you have, let's say if you have a small website hosting or you have shared hosting, the more traffic that you have for that shared hosting, the slower the site begins. The more people are using your resources, the more people are requesting those books that we talked about from your library, the slower it becomes, right? If you know that your business is going to have heavy traffic, you probably need to think about investing in dedicated hosting. Now this can cost anywhere between $80 to about even $1,000. Then last but not least is cloud hosting. Cloud hosting is like owning a network of houses. You are like the big dome. Now this is flexible and reliable, but just remember, it's quite costly and it's mostly overkill for most small to medium-sized businesses. This particular thing just depends on the use of their resources. So this price fluctuates month to month, it fluctuates week to week. This is the most expensive option. But again, if your business is making millions and millions of dollars, you need this. One other pro tip that I'll give you, depending on all these website hosting and all these plans that I've shared with you, is that always ensure that you get yearly hosting. Monthly or quarterly or things like that, as much as those options are there, they are very, very irritating. What you need to do is that when you budget, just get a yearly package and forget about it. Just come and pay for the other thing. Maybe the only thing that will be coming in from time to time is just maintenance. And it's very, very important for you to invest in maintenance because technologies on the internet easily change month to month, and this can change the way your website operates. That's how most of the websites have become redundant and outdated because they're still using old technology. That's about it about hosting plans. Now, here's one thing that I want you to be careful of out there. And some of the dark techs that some of these hosts employ are lock-in contracts, especially those that give you a free web domain, right? Now, domains cost money. It's like any other business. You buy the domains, store them, then sell them to your clients, right? Now, if someone will give you a free domain name, you have to recoup the money somehow. And that's how come they'll lock you in a lock-in contract for 2 or so years. So if you see a host that is giving you a free domain name, run. Just buy the domain name and have control of it. Because if they give it to you for free, that means that they have control of it and they'll put you in a lock-in contract. Now, as you continue to use that website host, you begin to use their email service and all that, you'll be storing your documents, your customer data on that website. And if you have a lock-in contract, you can't run away. What they will do is that they'll keep now taking advantage of you. They'll keep overcharging you. They'll keep on holding your data off stage. And since they have your customer data, there's nothing that you can do about it. As an elite business owner, you don't want your data in another person's hand. You need to have control of all your data. Hosts that have got a modified version of cPanel also are people that you need to look out for, because you need a full functionality of cPanel in order for you to be able to transfer to another host if need be. Let's say you underestimated and thought you needed shared hosting. Then as time goes on, you discover that I probably need dedicated hosting because the traffic that I'm getting is way too much and the site is becoming slow. You need to move to another host. Probably your website host does not offer dedicated hosting. Now, if they've put you in a lock-in contract and that particular move is going to be good for your business, because if you move to dedicated hosting, your site will be faster, and the way we talked about, if your site is faster, conversions will move up to about 1%, right? About 7%, sorry. Just a simple 7% jump to conversions, that's a big difference, right? So you can't afford to put yourself in a lock-in contract. You need to be able to pack up and go as need be. cPanel is the background that runs all these websites in the background, right? And it can allow you to back up your site so that you can be able to move it to another site. Now, if you don't have full functionality, they can only allow you to see a few things like emails, how much traffic you have, and things like that. That website host is a predator. You need to get away from them as soon as you notice that. Now, some of them are not even consistent with the uptime. Some of them will keep failing, and if they keep on updating their site and things like that, they keep on touching things in the background, things will keep failing, like your emails might just stop working at some point. Probably expecting very important emails, maybe invoices from your suppliers, maybe expecting some sort of whatever it is, right? You don't want your email down for any particular point of time. Some of these things need to be avoided, and you need to be aware of some of these things as a business owner. Now, in contrast, a good host will be nice and open. You'll be able to buy your domain name just like that. They'll be able to give you an EPP code. The EPP code allows you to be able to transfer to any other host as you see fit. They'll be able to give you full functionality to cPanel, and you can be able to get your data and move elsewhere if need be. Moving elsewhere might not just need that you don't need them or anything like that. Moving elsewhere might be just a demand that your business is giving at the moment, right? I've given you the different reasons as to why you can be able to move and the different type of hosting plans that are there, right? So sometimes you might need to move, and you need to be in control of your data. You can't have your data in control of somebody else. One other thing to be able to look out for all these dangerous hosts are free hosting. There's nothing that's out there for free. They just see you getting your customer data, your business slowly succeeding, making sales and things like that. They will either hack you or begin to give you some sort of charges in the background and things like that, right? There's nothing for free on this world. Everything comes at a cost. So avoid free hosting at any cost. So that's it. Let's begin a discussion in the comments. What questions you have for me, I'll be able to answer you. If you want to book me for consultation, there's a link in the bio. You can reach me through WhatsApp. We can be able to chat. We can be able to set up time. It's of course a chargeable fee. I don't consult for free because my time is very valuable. I've also got some good news for you. I'm giving away 5 free web design offers, right? Like I told you, nothing comes for free. The only payment that I need you to make is to be able to secure premium hosting on my site, right? So the premium hosting, the highest plan out there, it gives you access to about 100 emails. It gives you more resources. It's faster. You can even be able to host other websites on there, or not only just one. You can be able to host up to 10 or so websites, right? It's just best suited for elite business owners like yourself. So once you secure that costs about 3,500, only 5 businesses at the moment. So if you're interested in that, you fill in the form that I'll link in the bio. Once you fill in that form, me and my team can then be able to reach out in the background if you're one of those that succeeded, because I'm only giving it away to 5. The rest is going to be fully chargeable. Web design for us costs anywhere between 10,000 even up to 250,000 depending on the functionality and the complexity of the website. That's a story for another time. Those of you that will be be able to qualify among the 5, we can still be able to give you full price but at a discounted price for web design, right? The reason I'm doing this is that I need more people to sign up for my website hosting company. We need to get it out there and we need more businesses on board. We will take care of you. We'll be able to give you free digital marketing consultancy so you can afford to miss this out. Alright? See you in the next one. God bless. Be great.